This is Talkin to America. I'm your host, Aaron Zellman. Our subject today is Living with Terrorism, Survival Lessons from the Streets of Jerusalem. Our guest is Howard Linett. He is an Israeli Police Civil Guard instructor, an author, and an attorney. Hello, Howard. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me on your program.
You're welcome. Why did you decide to write a book about living with terrorism?
Yeah. I'm a born and bred Connecticut Yankee. About half my adult life has been spent in the United States getting myself educated and working. The other half's been spent living in Jerusalem, Israel, where I've a husband, raised a family, work, and I'm a volunteer Israeli police officer. With my background of dual experience, I realized how little Americans really know about terrorism. Unless you've recently returned home from a 6-month combat tour of duty in Iraq, you really don't have any idea what can happen. You don't have a frame of reference. From personally living with the constant, horrific, random violence daily for the past many years of Palestinian Intifada, it became clear to me that the experience needed by someone who's confronted with active terrorism cannot be gained from watching 30-second sound bites on CNN or Fox News. I thought the best way that I could fight the terrorists was to prepare Americans for what they might have to face. And my book is my attempt to pass along what I've learned and practiced.
Okay, the name of your book again is?
Living with Terrorism, Survival Lessons from the Streets of Jerusalem. And it's available from Paladin Press. They're the publishers. The easiest thing to do is just go to their website, www.paladinpress.com, and you can find it there and order it.
Okay, well, at this point, people are going to wonder, sounds like a great book, but what experience do you really possess, and have you and your family actually been in harm's way?
Yeah, well, our family lives in northern Jerusalem, surrounded 300 degrees by unfriendly neighbors. We're actually on the direct route taken by most of the terrorists from their safe haven and staging ground in Ramallah to downtown Jerusalem. Attacks in and around our home have been so close we have heard and sometimes even felt the bomb blasts, watched the rising columns of smoke, and ducked for cover at the sound of gunfire. The only way my family has in and out of our neighborhood is through the French Hill Bridge traffic intersection. And that location and immediate vicinity has been the scene of over 30 terrorist attacks during the past 5 years. 3, perhaps 4 of those attacks occurred after we'd just driven through the intersection. 3 times my family's been one traffic light or 1 block away from where bombs have been detonated in downtown Jerusalem. Sniper shot at 1 family member. My wife was 2 feet away from a car bomb when its detonator went off. Fortunately, it failed to set off the main charge. She only got covered with glass. Once the school bus bringing my younger daughter home was next in line, waiting for its turn to enter the French Hill interchange, when a terrorist shot up a bus already in the intersection. Another time at that same interchange, a homicide-suicide bomber attacked the bus one ahead of my same daughter's school bus. As a volunteer police officer and sniper, I've been on close to 100 operations and been present for hundreds of briefings. As a sniper instructor, I've researched in depth all manner of terrorist attacks, including especially terrorist sniper training and tactics. I've had medicine ball-sized boulders hurled onto the moving police vehicles in which I've been riding. I've been shot at several times. I've been at the scene of so many attacks within minutes of the bombs or shootings being carried out, I don't even bother to take photographs anymore. That's as a journalist. And as a target, twice I've been confronted with terrorists springing roadblock ambushes on me. So we have our share of experience here.
Gee, you ought to find some time to do something exciting. Within your book, You mentioned something I thought was amazing. That defending yourself and your family, your mind, is your primary means of defense. Can you elaborate on that?
I'd be happy to. You need to be able to see a potential threat and recognize it for what it is in order to defend yourself against it before it's too late. Aware and alert are your two primary survival states of mind. You need to be aware of your surroundings and alert to the signs that something's starting to happen. Your senses need to register, and your mind needs to analyze. Okay? I believe there are three critical mental skills you need to master to enhance your awareness and alertness. And I call these situational awareness, visualization, and flying ahead of the aircraft. Situational awareness is your knowing what's going on around you. It is you constantly paying attention to your surroundings and using all of your senses to keep yourself continually updated. That way, you're not easily surprised, and you have the vital presence of mind to act quickly. You know how and to what extent you can react if you need to. And I'll give you an example. It's very simple. You're driving in the rain. The road's slippery. You approach an intersection with a traffic light. As you do, you're scanning back left and right. You see there's no pedestrians, no traffic coming. Suddenly, the traffic light changes from green to yellow. Because you've been periodically glancing in your rearview mirror, you know a large truck's come up on you from behind too fast for road conditions. You also know that the truck's too close. So you continue through the intersection running the red light rather than being rear-ended. This is an example where situational awareness just saved your butt. Okay? Visualization is picturing a situation in your mind's eye and working through it mentally, trying out different responses, and then practicing those responses again mentally. I'm speaking now pure psychology, scientifically recognized mental exercise. Visualization is actually an acknowledged technique employed in hypnosis and psychotherapy. Next to a real baptism under fire, actually being there, this technique is the best thing you can do to develop critical, instinctive reactions that will take over from your rational thought process if you are in a real attack. Equally important, it allows you to accomplish the last mental feat, what I call flying ahead of the aircraft. It's a concept I was taught by the airline pilots for whom I worked years ago. This is simply anticipating and preparing in advance that which you're going to need to do. You know, flying a jet aircraft, that plane flies really fast. The pilot's got to be thinking ahead of where the aircraft actually is, doing everything well in advance of the aircraft reaching the point where and when a task has to be accomplished. Because if you start when you have to do it, you're already past that point by the time it's done. Okay? You practice flying ahead of the aircraft every day without even realizing it. For instance, you use your turn signal on the car before turning, or you pull into the far right lane before you reach the exit you need to take. That's simple.
You're listening to Talkin' to America with our guest, Howard Linett. Here once again is your host, Aaron Zellman.
A lot of people don't really understand the mental makeup of a terrorist. You read the American papers, and they always have apologies for these, the homicidal maniacs. So maybe you could give us some insight based on your experience on what makes a terrorist tick, no pun intended.
First of all, they crave the spotlight. Achieving live broadcast coverage of their attack on every international TV news network is a terrorist's hottest erotic dream.